A new world in the balance. European ambitions in the Americas from 1642 to 1700. The mid-17th century marked a turning point in the European colonization of the Americas. The early fervor for gold had faded, yet European powers remained committed to expanding their influence and extracting wealth from the New World. Between 1642 and 1700, England, France, Spain, and the Netherlands competed for territory and resources. Each sought to establish their dominance in this new arena. Their rivalry shaped the destiny of the Americas and had a profound impact on the lives of indigenous peoples. This era witnessed the consolidation of English colonies along the Atlantic seaboard. These colonies developed distinct identities and economies. Meanwhile, France forged a vast fur trade empire by cultivating alliances with Native American nations. In the southwest, Spain struggled to maintain its hold. Resistance from indigenous groups and internal conflicts challenged their mission-based approach. Even the short-lived Dutch colony of New Netherland left an indelible mark on the continent, evident in the cosmopolitan character of New York City. The pursuit of colonial ambitions came at a steep cost. European diseases ravaged indigenous populations and reshaped the cultural and demographic landscape of the Americas. The transatlantic slave trade, driven by the insatiable demand for labor, cast a long shadow over the period, setting the stage for centuries of exploitation and racial injustice. By 1700, the Americas stood as a testament to European ambition and indigenous resilience, but also a land forever marked by the legacies of conquest, disease, and slavery. This period of intense colonization irrevocably altered the Americas, reshaping the continent's political, social, and economic landscape. Understanding the motives, methods, and consequences of European colonization is crucial for comprehending the complex history of the Americas and its enduring legacy in the present day. The Contenders' motives and methods of colonization. European powers embarked on colonization with a mix of motivations. Economic gain remained paramount. The New World promised vast resources including timber, furs, and fertile land for cultivation. Mercantilism, the dominant economic theory of the time, fueled competition. European nations saw colonies as a source of raw materials and markets for finished goods. They aimed to enrich their own treasuries at the expense of their rivals. Beyond economic incentives, religious zeal played a significant role. Spain, in particular, saw colonization as an opportunity to convert indigenous populations to Catholicism. Their mission system, established in the 16th century, expanded into new territories during this period. France, too, embraced a missionary impulse. Jesuit priests traveled deep into the interior, seeking to spread Christianity among Native American communities. Political ambitions also factored into the equation. Colonial possessions served as a source of national pride and prestige. England, eager to assert its dominance on the world stage, invested heavily in its North American colonies. Their rivalry with France, already fierce in Europe, spilled over into the New World. Both nations vied for control of strategic waterways and trade routes. The methods employed by European powers varied. England favored a settler colonial model, encouraging emigration from the British Isles and seeking to displace indigenous populations to establish permanent settlements. France, with a smaller population base, relied on trade and alliances, cultivating relationships with Native American nations and participating in the lucrative fur trade. Spain adopted a mixed approach, relying on a combination of military force, missionary work, and the labor of indigenous people. England's expanding realm from Jamestown to Carolina. England's colonial ventures in North America gained momentum during the mid-17th century. The earlier struggles of Jamestown were overcome, and new colonies emerged, each with its own distinct character and economic pursuits. Driven by a combination of land hunger, religious dissent, and economic opportunity, English colonists carved out settlements along the Atlantic coast. Their expansion fueled conflicts with Native American tribes and intensified rivalries with other European powers. Virginia, established in 1607, served as a model for future English colonies. Its early reliance on tobacco cultivation set the stage for an economy based on cash crops. The arrival of African slaves in 1619 marked a tragic turning point, laying the foundation for a system of racialized slavery that would shape the colony's development for centuries to come. New England, founded by Puritan separatists seeking religious freedom, offered a stark contrast to the plantation society of the Chesapeake. The Massachusetts Bay Colony, established in 1630, emphasized communal values and religious piety. The region's economy centered on small farms, fishing, and timber. As English settlements expanded, they inevitably encroached upon Native American territories. Conflicts erupted with increasing frequency. The Pequot War from 1636 to 1638 and King Philip's War from 1675 to 1676 stand as grim reminders of the violence that accompanied English expansion. These wars decimated indigenous populations and shattered traditional ways of life. France in the New World, fur, faith, and alliances. France's colonial ambitions in North America differed markedly from those of England. Lacking the same population pressures, France focused on trade and diplomacy, seeking to establish a vast fur trade empire and forging alliances with Native American nations. Jesuit missionaries played a key role in this endeavor, venturing into the interior, living among indigenous communities and seeking to convert them to Catholicism. The fur trade proved to be a lucrative enterprise. Beaver pelts, highly prized in Europe, were exchanged for European goods, including metal tools, firearms, and textiles. This exchange, while seemingly beneficial to both sides, had unintended consequences. It drew Native American nations into the orbit of European commerce and fueled intertribal conflicts over access to hunting grounds and trade routes. France's alliance-based approach required a delicate balancing act. They sought to maintain good relations with their indigenous partners while also asserting their own interests. Intermarriage between French traders and Native American women, while common, did not erase the power dynamics inherent in these relationships. From their base in Quebec City, founded in 1608, the French explored the vast interior of the continent. Explorers such as Louis Joliet and Jacques Marquette mapped the Mississippi River and claimed vast territories for France. Their explorations expanded the reach of the fur trade and laid the groundwork for future French settlements. Section 5. Spain's northern frontier missions, resistance, and internal conflicts. By the mid-17th century, Spain had established a vast empire in the Americas. Yet, their hold on their northern frontier remained tenuous. Sparsely populated and facing resistance from indigenous groups, Spain's northern territories presented a unique set of challenges. Internal conflicts within the Spanish colonial system further complicated their efforts to maintain control. The mission system, central to Spain's colonial enterprise, aimed to convert indigenous populations to Catholicism and assimilate them into Spanish society. Franciscan friars, often accompanying Spanish soldiers, established missions throughout the Southwest. They sought to impose their religion and culture on Native American communities. Resistance to Spanish rule took many forms. Indigenous groups, determined to preserve their traditional ways of life, launched sporadic uprisings. The Pueblo Revolt of 1680, a pan-Indian rebellion in present-day New Mexico, stands as a testament to indigenous resilience. The Pueblo people, led by Pope, successfully expelled the Spanish from their territory for over a decade. Internal conflicts within the Spanish colonial system also plagued their efforts in the north. Disputes over land, labor, and power erupted between missionaries, settlers, and colonial officials. These divisions weakened Spain's hold on the region. They made them vulnerable to external threats. Section 6. The Dutch Moment, New Netherlands Rise and Fall. While England, France, and Spain dominated the colonial stage, the Dutch Republic also left its mark on North America. New Netherland, established in 1624, encompassed parts of present-day New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and Connecticut. Driven by commerce rather than conquest, the Dutch pursued a more tolerant approach to religious and ethnic diversity. New Amsterdam, situated on Manhattan Island, served as a hub for trade. It welcomed settlers from various backgrounds. The Dutch West India Company, granted a monopoly over trade in the region, established a lucrative fur trade with Native American tribes. They also engaged in privateering, preying on Spanish ships laden with treasure. Despite its initial success, New Netherland proved to be short-lived. Internal conflicts, coupled with external threats from England, led to its demise. In 1664, an English fleet sailed into New Amsterdam harbor and demanded the colony surrender. The Dutch, outnumbered and outgunned, reluctantly agreed, marking the end of Dutch rule in North America. Though brief, the Dutch presence left an indelible mark on the region. The legacy of New Netherland can be seen in the cosmopolitan character of New York City. It is evident in the persistence of Dutch surnames and place names throughout the Mid-Atlantic. The Dutch commitment to religious tolerance and free trade, would also influence the development of the American colonies. Section 7. Indigenous Responses, Resilience, Adaptation, and the Catastrophe of Disease. The arrival of Europeans in the Americas had a catastrophic impact on indigenous populations. European diseases, to which Native Americans lacked immunity, swept through the continent, decimating entire communities. Smallpox, measles, influenza, and other infectious diseases spread rapidly. They killed millions of people. The demographic collapse caused by disease had profound social, cultural, and political consequences. Traditional power structures were disrupted. Spiritual beliefs were challenged. The loss of knowledge and skills due to the deaths of elders had a devastating impact on indigenous societies. Despite these immense challenges, indigenous peoples demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. They resisted European encroachment through armed conflict, diplomacy, and strategic alliances. They adapted to new economic realities by participating in the fur trade and adopting European goods and technologies. Many Native American groups sought to preserve their cultural identity and autonomy in the face of European expansion. They formed new confederacies, such as the Iroquois Confederacy, to strengthen their position and resist encroachment. Others migrated westward, seeking refuge from European diseases and colonial expansion. Section 8. The Atlantic Economy and the Shadow of Slavery. The European colonization of the Americas fueled the growth of the Atlantic economy, a complex web of trade connecting Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Raw materials extracted from the New World flowed into Europe, where they were transformed into manufactured goods. These goods were then traded for African slaves, who were transported to the Americas to work on plantations and in mines. The transatlantic slave trade, driven by the insatiable demand for labor in the Americas, became a central pillar of the Atlantic economy. Millions of Africans were forcibly transported across the Atlantic under horrific conditions. They endured unimaginable suffering on the Middle Passage. Those who survived the journey were subjected to a lifetime of forced labor and brutal treatment. The introduction of slavery into the Americas had a profound impact on colonial societies. It created a racialized system of labor exploitation that enriched European colonists. It simultaneously dehumanized and oppressed African slaves. The legacies of slavery continue to resonate in the Americas today, shaping social relations, economic disparities, and racial identities. The Atlantic economy, while generating immense wealth for European powers, came at a steep human cost. The forced migration of millions of Africans and the exploitation of indigenous labor laid the foundation for centuries of inequality and injustice. Section 9. Legacies of Conquest, a Continent Transformed. By 1700, the European colonization of the Americas had irrevocably transformed the continent. European powers had established a firm foothold in the New World. Indigenous populations had been decimated by disease. Their lands had been seized. The transatlantic slave trade had brought millions of Africans to the Americas in chains. The colonial encounters of this period had a lasting impact on the Americas. They shaped its political, social, economic, and cultural landscapes. The rivalry among European powers for territory and resources led to frequent conflicts. These conflicts determined the borders of future nations. The introduction of European diseases and the transatlantic slave trade had a devastating impact on indigenous populations and African slaves. They left an enduring legacy of inequality and racial injustice. Despite the immense challenges they faced, indigenous peoples demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability. They resisted European encroachment, preserved their cultural traditions, and adapted to new economic realities. Their story is an integral part of the complex and often tragic history of the Americas. The European colonization of the Americas stands as a testament to human ambition, greed, and cruelty. It also highlights the resilience and adaptability of those who were subjected to conquest and exploitation. Understanding the motives, methods, and consequences of colonization is crucial for comprehending the complex history of the Americas and its enduring legacy in the present day.